Yeah, so what brings you into town?
Milk.
Milk?
I think my friend likes something mixed with this whole little Slate chocolate we got here.
Yeah, these are great. You know what? Good news is, we've had them before. First step is I'm gonna make a cocktail for you. I'm gonna make 2 mocktails.
Are we Johnny not drinking?
We're gonna use first the classic chocolate, ultra filtered, lactose free.
New cans, by the way, I noticed.
Yeah, the printed cans.
First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna rim this glass.
Let's see a candle.
We're gonna coconut rim, going pineapple, a little tropical feel here. Okay, you good with mango?
Oh yeah.
Just put a little bit of the coconut in here too. Gonna give you a nice tropical feel.
Like I'm on vacation
Maybe I
right
could put you on an island. Okay, back to the mixing.
You bought me this blender?
Alright, so we're gonna make 2, mocktail and a cocktail. First one, obviously mocktail, no alcohol, don't touch it.
I will not.
Next one is we're gonna put some alcohol in it. It's gonna, see, there you go. It's kind of like the mimosa, you put it in on the top of the bottle. Hey, my man. Oh, now we've indicated which one is the mocktail, which one's the cocktail. Ready?
Cheers.
Nice.
That is fantastic.
How's it
Really
taste?
good. That's actually really good.
Yeah?
Let's hit the podcast room.
Wait, 1 sec. Yeah. Oh, what me? Pocket room. I gotta make myself one.
No, you're good. Everybody, welcome back to the Johnny Drinks Podcast. I'm your co-host, Johnny, here with...
This is John.
And a special guest, the founder of Slate Milk, Manny Lubin. How we doing?
Co-founder, my business partner, Josh, is the real brains of the operation. But,
all right.
But I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Giving credit where credit is due.
Oh, yeah.
Quick congratulations. Big news. Last couple weeks here, we've raised how much money?
We closed a Series A of 10.5 mil.
Awesome.
Last year, announced it a few weeks ago, and that'll allow us to go national. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously, we want to go back into where you started. Did you ever think you'd be where you are right now?
I mean, you gotta. Like,
Well, where are you right now?
I'm in the Johnny Drinks podcast.
There we go.
Well, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. But
Thank you.
I mean, we are right now. We're probably in like 5,000 to 7,000 stores. The store count will at least double in the next 4 or 6 months. And honestly, like when my co-founder Josh and I started, like this is what we envisioned, right? Like, and even like growing up, my mom would always be like, visualize like the ball going in the hoop in basketball, like visualize hitting a home run, and I was like, Ma, shut up. But like then you do it, right? And so like if you don't see it, if you don't actually see it in your head, and like the path there, then like what are you waking up and doing every day, right? So it's just like one day, like we hear now a lot of people talk about like the 1%, like a little bit closer, but for us it's just like just tackling what's in front of us and closing accounts and making a great product and getting the right people involved. But honestly, like I think we visualized, like we saw this happening, and we still got a long way to go, but it's been a ride.
So nothing really strikes you as like, oh wow, that I didn't expect that.
There are definitely some moments for sure, some individual moments, but in terms of just like getting into all the stores, it's just like having a great product and having the right people and having a great brand. Like it really is like, it seems simple, but it's, we talked about this before, is having a strategy. Like, what is your strategy? There's so many different ways you can do it, and then just doing what you can to execute on that strategy. And it's not like that linear, right? But that's what it comes down to.
I love that.
So can we talk though, before we get too far down the road about that? The product is in what category, what space, and let's start with that.
Yeah.
We jump right into this.
No, absolutely.
What's the product?
So my co-founder Josh and I, we grew up playing a lot of sports, high school sports. I talked about that. And after practices, we would always drink lactose-free chocolate milk. Both of us actually became lactose intolerant from a singular meal. True story. And then after that, we couldn't drink our favorite drink anymore, chocolate milk. Had to drink the lactose-free brand. And it's not the sexiest brand name, but like it lets everyone know that it's lactose-free. And so into college, we started, we moved away from sports and started like lifting weights a little bit more and dabbled in the protein powders and whatnot, kind of make us feel like crap. Like you're just talking to Devin about that, where it's just like, man, it just doesn't agree with you. And then so we started drinking the lactose-free chocolate milks again. Both got in the startup tech space, and we're like, we want to create something we can hold. Both realized we're lactose intolerant, love chocolate milk like most human beings. And so let's make a healthier one. And so... I mean, the story of how we ended up with ultra filtered milk in a can is a long one. Do we want to dive in, or
maybe not yet? But we definitely have time for that. I want to you just said you became lactose intolerant from a meal. What are you talking
Singular
about?
meal. So basically, I didn't know this was true, but you can ingest so much lactose that it basically causes you to become intolerant. So for me, it was a triple cheeseburger, a large milkshake, and a large fry, which I dipped in ranch dressing. Don't ask me why, in 8th grade. And then I woke up and I felt like crap, and I was lactose intolerant.
I'm scared.
Wow, I feel like I did that 100 times over.
But some people it doesn't happen to. But it happened to me. My two brothers and also my co-founder went to an ice cream shop, got a huge thing of ice cream, and then woke up the next day lactose intolerant.
And never again.
And then so like we can eat. We say we could eat a slice of cheese pizza. We're not gonna pop like a balloon, but like the science behind becoming lactose intolerant is you're naturally born with what's called the lactase enzyme in your stomach. And that breaks down lactose into 2 smaller sugars so you can digest it. Like lactose is a big sugar. And so a lot of people, as they go through puberty, that enzyme in your stomach naturally dissolves a little bit, but you still have some, or some people it doesn't dissolve really whatsoever. But when you're lactose intolerant, you just don't have that enzyme in your stomach anymore. And that's why the lactase enzyme, which we also use, but we filter out most of it, if you add it to the milk itself, it breaks down the lactose into 2 smaller sugars that become digestible. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I became like a milk nerd in my mid-20s just because you got to learn this stuff. But then there are certain cheeses that don't have as much lactose, but milk is the real culprit.
Right. Now, okay, so you've had a passion for milk for quite some time. And now, a lot of people probably feel the same way you did, right? They like milk. They want to find a product. And you went and said, instead of finding, I want to make it. What gave you, like, did you always have that entrepreneurship mind, or was this like the aha moment for you?
Yeah. So I would say it wasn't even necessarily a passion for milk. It was just, I wanted to drink chocolate milk every day, but I was trying to be healthy, like genuinely. And so I remember just trying to limit, like, you know, that last, like, quarter of a glass of something that's bad for you where you're like, I shouldn't have this, but I really want it. Yeah. Like when you're eating like a king size candy bar and you're like, I should probably stop at half, but I want the rest. Like, I didn't want that feeling where I shouldn't have the rest of it, right? Because like I just wanted a healthier one, as did my co-founder Josh, and that's what kind of brought this about. So again, I don't even know if it was a passion for milk. It was just like we selfishly created Slate for ourselves because we thought there are other people out there that like us, and I think that there were. And then in terms of like being an entrepreneur, I think my co-founder Josh, like, we still don't really think about ourselves as like entrepreneurs. We just like creating stuff, right? Like we just like building stuff. Like Josh, even growing up, like he was a caddy, and it was like he was basically his own salesperson, right? And he would like talk to people and recommend the right clubs and just sell when he was like a teenager, and he would get great tips.
Yeah. Oh, John was a caddy.
I was also.
Were you?
Yeah, we have to talk. Josh
the bag.
Yeah, you should talk to Josh.
10 years plus.
Loved it. He loved it.
Yeah.
He loved caddying?
Fucking hated it. It was
Wow.
miserable.
Wow.
What made it miserable was number
You
one.
stunk at it, maybe. You stunk at it?
I was definitely not great, but I hated golf. So when you're doing something you hate, it's never going to be good.
Yeah, never good start.
But then you grow and appreciate, and I think Josh could probably attest to, when you're surrounding yourself with the right people, like you're at a country club. So the people you're working for are normally successful. They have a lot of wisdom, and you learn what to do and what not to do. So I'm sure he pulled from that as well. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you say you're not entrepreneurs, but clearly you are. Again, where's that first step? So you have a great idea. I'm sure you're developing a product. Where do you guys go now?
Yeah. So I think it's like, in terms of the definition of an entrepreneur, like whether we are or we aren't, we just like, it's people that like creating things, right? It's not like I want to be a founder of my own company when I'm like 19 years old. That wasn't like our mindset. It was like Josh was on the golf course. I was VP of my frat at college and my community service organization. I was VP of recruitment. It was just like building those organizations, like those teams. That was fun. Like I liked doing more of that than anything else in the classroom. Like it was just like, it was a good time. And like just surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, that all collectively, if we all worked hard, we could make whatever we had bigger and better. That's what always drove me. And that's why, like, growing up, like we talked about sports, like I love playing sports. Yeah. And so I think that kind of translated. And I think that we do see a lot of like founders, co-founders that come from athletics. Some don't, which that's just, again, that mentality comes from somewhere else. But yeah, it was just like, man, if we can do this better, if we can make a healthy chocolate milk, we want it. So other people probably do as well.
Right. Excellent. So how long, how many years has this been in the making? So let's again quantify this. Not when it went into the can into the first distribution, but rewind for those who are listening who say they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to have this conversation at some point. You had shared the story of the concept, the idea, and the impetus behind why you created it. Now go. How long did that take?
So one of my good friends actually just took a screenshot of the text message I sent my group chat of my college friends.
That's awesome.
And this was August 2017. It was basically, and he framed it for me. It was just a out of the blue gift from one of your good friends. Just, it was awesome. But it was basically saying that if there was a healthy chocolate milk, I'd be drinking it right now, because you got your sugar, your kids' sugar ones, you got your bodybuilder artificial ones, and like I didn't just work out and I don't need 40 grams of protein. I wish there was something in the middle. And that was August 2017. October 5, 2017 is when I actually had a meeting with an investor in Boston that I met through the tech space, and just he was telling me, because I was in the tech space before, just like networking, just was able to meet a bunch of folks. And he said he just made a beverage investment. And literally right there, I like clapped my hands. I was like, I've always had this idea for adult healthy chocolate milk. And just kind of gave him the pitch. And he was like, take a look at it. And then literally that night, I went home, made a deck, and sent it to Josh. Because like I knew Josh was my guy.
Wait a second. So the investor told you about an investment he made?
So he was investing in the startup tech space. And like that's how I met him, was just through the startup tech space. And he was just, I said, what else are you investing in these days? Like just picking his brain. He, at the time, had just made a beverage investment. Not in Slate, something completely different. And it just like, I just right there was just like, I had this idea, and I just like started pitching this idea out of the blue. Like had not prepared it at all. Just like an idea that had been brewing honestly for years. Yeah. But in the last couple of months, I'd really started thinking about it. And then that night I made a deck. It was terrible. The investor deck I made was terrible.
Do we have it? Do we have it still?
Oh yeah, I have it.
Hell yeah.
It was called Sweet Victory Drinks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Worse than Slate.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Slate's one word. Sweet Victory Drinks is a little bit longer play.
Exactly. Yeah. The idea was you work hard, you deserve a sweet victory even as an adult. And I mean, I think there's some things that carried over, but yeah. And then I had spent a month convincing Josh, because Josh was in the startup tech space doing a real estate tech play, and he was like doing pretty well, but his company was going through a pivot. And then, his dad is kind of like his mentor. And he had to convince his dad that he was going to leave real estate to join milk.
Wow. Yeah. Now, was the investor you were speaking to receptive to the idea for adult?
Yeah.
And that's what gave you the, I guess.
I think that was a big part of it, yeah. And I knew that, look, if someone I knew he wrote 6-figure checks as an angel investor. I'm like, look, if I got a good idea and this guy's going to help me fund it from day one, let's give it a go.
Did you pitch him after that?
Yeah, he wrote us one of our first checks.
Wow. That's
Went back to him 6 months later.
So what year was that? I'm sorry. So that was 17.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That was October 2017. And then Josh and I went full-time May 2018 or June 2018.
And when did you go on Shark Tank?
That aired May 2020. But we filmed.
When did you go on? Yeah. Sure.
Like around a year before.
A year before. So that's something interesting that, from the audience that watches the show, the timing and also the structure of deals, right? Because they're only intent offers, right? They're not deals locked down. Right?
Yeah, I think that's public, is that a lot of deals end up falling through, whether they're accepted or not.
Right.
But yeah, I think that was just our story. I know some people, they shoot and then air much sooner, and even some probably longer.
Yeah, so I mean, that seems like such a short time period where your conception of idea, pitching an investor that then invests in you pre-product. Were you even out in the stores yet? And he wrote you a check.
Yeah, we needed money for formulation.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so Josh and I put up a little bit, but
wow, so great job to that.
Yeah, that's fast. That's really fast tracked.
He put a bet on the jockeying out the horse type of thing.
Definitely. Well, and also for us, even today when we're pitching investors, right? Because we're not necessarily, we're selling what we've done, but we're also selling the vision in the future. You got to be when you're building something. And so a lot of what we did early on was sell the market, right? Like we're not selling into the $3 billion chocolate milk market or whatever it is. Like we're selling to the $25 billion global RTD coffee market and the $15 billion global RTD protein shake market. And we're taking stomach space from both. And both are growing at an 8% CAGR. Like they're growing 8% year over year. And so if we can compile those, there's a $40 billion market that's growing exponentially. That's what we're attacking with a product that's not a protein shake or a coffee, right? It's a high protein chocolate milk or a high protein latte. And so that's how we position it to investors. And that's why it's, all right, you're hitting this market, but it's like you're kind of coming in the side door or something completely different.
Wow. He just said stomach space. That you've used that line before.
I mean, it's
soundbite. Yeah, that's a good soundbite.
Yeah,
stomach. That's incredible.
Well, look, you're not gonna. We all have our diets, right? And they'll change, but you're not going to add 1,400 calories to your diet just because you enjoy eating something, unless like something drastically changes in your life. If it's waters, like I remember hearing about this like LaCroix Crens where people are like crushing 18 like you can drink 15 waters a day, like flavored waters, because they're non-cal, like you're not taking up any stomach space. But when it comes to diet, even with Slate, you know, they're 100, 120 calories. So yes, you can inject it, but at the end of the day, a lot of times people will be taking something out of their diet.
Right.
And that could be a coffee drink, that could be a protein shake, but also for Slate, it might just be eating like a little bit less, where it's only 100, 120 cal, but it's 20 grams of protein.
Right. Even if you happen to unfortunately eat less and you want more protein or whatever it may be.
Correct.
That's so interesting. So like you said, that's a really good point you brought up. You used, when you didn't have a product, you used the market to pitch and sell, which is, I think, a great lesson for any, like he mentioned, entrepreneur that's looking to get involved. Sometimes it's less about what you have existing and more about where you think you can go and how you present that dream to somebody.
You're literally selling the dream. Like you are selling like the vision in your head. And now, I mean, you've talked to other founders and my co-founder Josh and I have too, where like we're just, again, we're all trying to figure it out, right? But like we have now like learned from like a lot of the investors on our team have had success in the past, and if someone can sell us their vision, like what it's going to be, that's everything, right? And now like you gotta have a strategy, right? If you just sell a vision, there's no path and the product doesn't work, like that, that's not exciting. But like if you're like, let's say you're creating a product that's like right now, like THC and CBD is extremely popular, and I think those brands have a lot of success, but the ceilings sometimes are so low, especially when getting going because of all the regulations. And so like that's why a lot of investors right now are scared to get involved in THC and CBD, we believe. Whereas, you know, if we're talking about these two massive growing markets and you can attack it with a different product that's nostalgic and people that isn't really in the space right now, that's what we're selling, what gets people excited.
Right. Yeah, and you picked a product that barrier to entry isn't that hard, right? You can get you started, like you said, a liquor brand or a THC brand. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through to even get started. You can start selling pretty much as soon as you get the product ready to go.
The licensing, right? I mean, the regulatory things. I think the FDA is different than the alcohol right commission and the things that you have to that govern that.
Definitely. I personally don't know too much about the alcohol space. I know that like we're friends with a bunch of founders in the space, but for us, I mean, you kind of want to have some sort of moat where it's a little bit difficult, because then like with waters and whatnot, there are a ton of people doing it. At that point, it's brand strategy and a lot of time dollars that helps you win.
So I'm curious about something, and I want to go back to the I'm very interested in the timetable again for my own, but I think other people who set out to do the same things and are unreasonable with how long things take. And it sounds like you've already accelerated it and maybe got a little lucky, but maybe you worked harder, smarter, and or have all the above, aligned yourself with the right people. So 17 in large part was that moment where it went from concept to, okay, we flipped the switch, we're going.
Yep.
All right. You indicated you were on Shark Tank the year before it aired, which was 2020, so it's 2019-ish. You prepared to go on the show around 2019 with a valuation. All right. What was that valuation then? What was the valuation in 20 when it aired? And what's the valuation today? If you can talk about...
I could talk about the valuation on the show. We can't talk about valuation these days.
Fine.
But so on the show, we had asked for $400,000 for 10% of the company.
Okay.
At that time, we had launched a Kickstarter campaign. That's where we actually really got going, was on Kickstarter. And that was February of 2019. So when Kickstarter was like our like soft launch, February of 2019. Then Shark Tank we shot later that year. And then the valuation at that point on the show was $4 million. We'd actually already raised dollars a little bit higher than that, a little bit higher valuation. And then the following year, like every year it went up, I would say somewhat exponentially.
Okay.
But at that point, again, once you have sales data, the valuation is much more based on historicals paired with vision versus just overall vision.
Of course.
Because also an early stage investor is going to understand, if they're, even on Shark Tank, if they're going to take 70% of your business for $500K, the business will fail because there's not enough equity to go around. Like you don't get 100 points in business.
Makes sense.
So, but at the same time, an investor wants a chunk of the business because if they're taking a huge risk, they want to be rewarded for that. And so the earlier they invest, the higher the risk.
And you need these investors. Like the key thing to what you pointed to earlier. You have an idea, you're an entrepreneur, you're hungry, you're go-getters, but if you don't have money, you don't have the resources, it's a short-lived,
100%.
existence.
And we always feel, right? Like I think that some companies, they really, really push for a high valuation because they don't want to dilute themselves as founders, which I understand. But at the end of the day, you got to think like an investor sometimes. Like when Josh and I go to investor meetings, we always think about what they'd be thinking and say, what we'd be thinking and saying if we were on the other side of the table. We're like, if the company's doing $1 million in sales, you're valuing yourself at 50 mil, like you're just looking like an idiot, right? And I mean, maybe some high tech, like some crazy tech play, and you have some IP or whatever. But for us, it's more like we want the deal to be fair. We don't if we've won the deal, then that investor probably won't invest in us again. They probably won't be excited to help. But if they've won the deal, then we're probably going to hold a grudge over it for some time, hypothetically. And like, it's just not going to be a great relationship. We were talking about this last night. It's even just like influencer deals, partnerships, like anyone that you bring in the company, whether it's social media, whether it's an investor, you want it to be fair.
Right.
Because that's just like a push and pull. It's how relationships work.
A good deal is a good deal for both people.
100%.
And unfortunately, a lot of people think one way, which is, well, they can do better. Well, maybe, but that's not a good deal. Then you're short living that experience with that person. I go through this often with a lot of my friends, and just as we talk about things in general, buying a car. All right, so if you got over on somebody at the dealership and you felt you won, and okay, that's great, but you still got to go back there. Don't you want them to? They're going to make it up somewhere. And they may, again, at different moments have different opportunities and vice versa. But a good deal is a deal that's good for both parties.
100%. Yeah. That's funny you mentioned car. So my dad always tells me what car to get because I just don't really care, and he's always like doing the car research. And so I was getting a new car like 3 years ago. He found one. We went, drove it. I literally was driving for 10 seconds. I was like, it's good. Let's get it. He's like, you don't want to test any other cars? And I was like, no, you did your research. It drives. Let's go. Let's get it. And it's like, cool. At the end of the day, I think it's a good deal. Yeah. Let's go. Like, why are we going to waste our time?
Yeah. I think that right there is actually a really good trait of a successful entrepreneur, is that mindset that you could drive yourself crazy doing research about something, and if you never actually pull the trigger and do it, you'll never know. And you can always look back and regret and say, oh, I should have done something else. So you might as well make a decision and move.
So what's that called? Paralysis by analysis, right?
And just keep, you make the decision, you learn from it, you keep iterating, but making that decision and committing to it, I think, is the hardest yet easiest thing to just go and do.
Yeah. Josh, my co-founder, we always say NLB, never look back.
Never look back. That's
never look, like whenever we make a decision, like you're down that path, like it's kind of like Josh and I have talked about this before. We think about it kind of like a cornfield maze, right? Like you go on a path, you're not turning around. Like you're just at a new point, then you go left and right. Like you have decisions, but if you just stand there and wait at that first turn, even if the path you're going down is the wrong one, you're never going to grow your business. You're never going to advance your life. Like you got to go.
Just go.
Trust the process.
I love that.
NLB.
I love that. So, okay. Everybody's intrigued by the Shark Tank idea. You haven't even noticed. This is the shirt.
Why don't you take it off? So those who are
don't tempt me.
Those who have the
looks
benefit
way better
of
on
the
you.
video,
Do not
high school athlete.
can see if you shaved your chest or not.
I didn't actually, so I can't do so. For those that can't see because they're not watching, I'm wearing the shirt that Manny wore when he pitched on Shark Tank. It says high school athlete, Slate Chalmuk on the bottom of it. And we were watching it the other day. He's going to explain how it actually went, but I saw it. I was like, I got to order this shirt. Which, by the way, I heard Manny was an all-state football and baseball player.
It was.
The
glory days.
So he's no joke, this guy.
Wait, where'd you grow up again?
Wellesley, Mass.
Oh, Massachusetts.
Yes. I mean, look, it's not SEC football, but like we put the pads on. We can hit a little bit.
Oh, so what? It's college you're talking about?
No. High school. Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, I love that. So he was wearing this. I had decided to purchase it. Talk us through, I guess, did you even think you were going to get on Shark Tank when you applied?
So our situation was a little unique. So we went on Kickstarter, which again was all my co-founder Josh Belinsky. Mm-hmm. Josh was the one that pushed
Josh? Because clearly he does everything.
Josh does everything.
Can we get Josh on?
He's the brain. I can leave. You want me to call? You'll be here in 4 hours.
Josh, well, yeah, we're kind of we're kind of exhausted our conversation.
Josh is the best. Like we always say on calls, like when people are like, should I call you or should I call Josh? I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like we literally we're the same. We are the same brain.
That's like with us.
That's like us. Yeah,
it's so similar.
Yeah, so easy.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're both named John.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is John.
So we went on Kickstarter. We did like 52K from 1,200 backers.
Nice.
So Kickstarter, it's like pre-orders. So basically, you set a goal. If you reach that goal, then you get the money, and it helps you fund the actual launch of the product. So we did that, and then we were contacted by Shark Tank.
They reached out to you.
Oh, interesting. Yes. Wow.
Shark Tank is begging for this guy's money.
Not exactly.
Well,
if you saw how it went, not exactly.
the interesting part is, and you've told this story probably hundreds of times, and I'm not sure if you watched the episode, but coincidentally, I mean, it just came on not too long ago, and I was laying in bed watching. I'm like, wow. I said to Mom, I said, this is the guys that we're going to be meeting. So, do you recall? Forget Mark Cuban's first reaction. That was, I was like, oh my God. And I'm watching this. I never saw it before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he just shit all over this poor kid's drink.
Let him tell the story.
Well, no, I want to tell it.
Keep
I want to tell it. And then I'll let him. He's told it a lot. So I figured it might be refreshing. No. So he shits on it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow. Oh my God, this poor kid. What are they going to do? And the body language and the facial expressions for me were the tell. And I'm like, all right, they got this. I don't know where it's going to go, but they were both composed, fairly composed. You must have went through the mental game of, okay, if he says yes, he says no, she says, you must have done some of that. And I hope you did. If you didn't, all right. And then they progressively go through each shark, who one after the other go out. So who was the first shark that went out?
Oh man, I don't remember it in that much detail. So you okay, you black out, right? Like you're I mean, that's you've started a company, like that's your Super Bowl, right? At least you feel like it is at the time. And I think my guess, I think Ro Oza, who runs Kavu,
I think you're right.
He was the last one to go out. Mm-hmm. And then my guess is Barbara or Lori were probably the first two to go out,
because I thought he was going to invest at the end.
Yeah, Ro. Yeah.
It was Lori.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was Kevin. Kevin
called us single cell amoeba. Yeah. Because we were pre-launch. I'm like, dude, we are where we are. Like, I don't know what you want from me. Like,
and what you just said, that was exactly what I noticed. I was like, oh my God, they're getting shit on. Yeah. And Manny's face and Josh, like, they didn't even care. It was almost like, not that you expect the word. Did you go in there saying nobody's going to invest?
We have now talked to hundreds of investors. You get told, even at that time, we'd probably talked to, honestly, at that time, probably dozens, if not hundreds. Sure. Even at that point, you get told no enough times. Like, you're just like, it never becomes fun. Mm-hmm. But like your first no ever, that hurts.
That hurts.
Someone's like, I don't believe that you're going to make it. And I don't want to give you my money because I don't believe in you, which totally understand. We're a couple of knuckleheads from the suburbs of Boston that want to create a chocolate milk. Like we get it. We understood it. Right. But so for us, yes, it was in front of millions of people and on camera, but like it wasn't the first time we were like, with Football Reference, like strapping the pads on. Like we'd been there before.
That's awesome.
And I think Josh and I kind of halfway through obviously didn't go as we anticipated, but we're halfway through, and I think we kind of like looked at each other and like acknowledged that we could kind of brawl till the death and like really, really fight and like, or you just be respectful, absorb the feedback, and kind of like agree to disagree, but like still defend it. Sure. Like in terms of the product, like we're not gonna let them talk trash about our babies. Like we're gonna defend the product. Even at that time where the product, it wasn't final, like that never made it to market. It was just too early in the process to have a final product, and so we just did the best we could in terms of product. Right. But with other things in terms of valuation, like, I mean, a valuation, like you've invested in businesses, as you know, yes. It's an investor and a founder agreeing upon what the company's worth. Right. Until you're public, that's what it is. Like I could come in here and say Slate's valued at $500 million. I could say it's valued at $5 million. If we agree and you're going to invest, that's the value of the company. Right. Right. And so it was kind of like an agree to disagree. And I think what we should have probably done better is re-steer the conversation back to the market, back to the vision, and not focus as much on valuation. I think we tried because we were in there much longer than 8 minutes, and that's all that aired.
So give us give us a little bit of background, because I heard that they take 5% of any business that comes in. So talk to us about whatever happens behind the scenes of Shark Tank.
Yeah, so that's not true. Behind the scenes, not too much I can talk about, but they do not take equity in the company. They're
debunked, people.
Yeah, not true. They're I think they did season
Well,
one.
could it have changed since then? Not to cut you off, but
I think it was back in season 1 they did. At least that's what I literally, they didn't even say
But
anything
when
about
you went
this.
on, we're talking about when you went
Correct.
on the show.
My experience,
This was
no equity taken.
Right. Okay.
I think that their entire team, like, look, it's Hollywood, but they were super respectful. Like they were a pleasure to work with, honestly.
Great.
And it was just a cool experience. Like, we talked about this too. It didn't significantly impact the business one way or another. I think it was another domino in the story.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's another chapter in the book. Yeah, good.
So, yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of people see that as like the pinnacle, and you kind of just saw it as one more step.
I mean, look, were we excited? Obviously, right. Like it's not like we went in there and like too cool for school. Like, oh, it's just another. Like it's the biggest stage in America as a founder to pitch. Like
Sure.
it is.
Do you see spikes in sales when episodes air?
Not really.
No.
Maybe a little bump.
Really? Even like website traffic, nothing?
I think a little bump. I think
That's so
interesting.
interesting.
Like we work with people like Johnny Drinks, who, like, when you guys have a great post, like, we'll see a bump.
I was
right?
gonna say, I mean, do you notice a bump when things go viral, when people are waking each other up? I mean, that's genius. Who thought of the idea of waking somebody up on the couch, pretending to be hungover, making them a hangover drink with Slate? God, that's got to be a team of creative.
You know what video is going to go viral one day when someone wakes somebody up and they get an ass beat down.
So he doesn't like when I
Bigger and
pretend to wake him
different
up
than
anymore.
any ass beat down in the UFC.
It works every time, but you know.
Yeah.
So actually, I didn't even ask that for us, but that's great to know. And I guess we're segueing into that kind of conversation. That when people like us, and the funny part about this relationship, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about the dynamic shift of almost like begging for money to now people begging to give you money. I saw Slate in the grocery store one day in the summertime, and I was like, oh, I've seen these guys before. I want to try it out. I bought it myself. I posted a story, cracked it open. I said, this is really good. I think I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10. I was like,
We were pissed, by the way. Me and AC were pissed.
Well, listen,
like 7.5.
I'm a smart guy. I can't give you a 10 out of 10.
I know, I'm
You're
just
gonna be-
joking.
yeah.
Oh, this is before you knew him.
Before I knew him, I
Yeah.
posted a 7.5 out of 10 on my story. I said, can looks great, taste is great, overall, whatever. Somebody reached out to me. Paige reached out to me.
connected us, yeah.
Shout out. And she was like, oh, that's my guy. You want me to connect? And I was like, absolutely. So I approached Manny, and I wanted to get involved from an influencer standpoint. Didn't really know where it was going to go. And then as soon as I had a conversation with you and learned more about the product, I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
If we could write a check, if we can get involved from an equity standpoint, we want skin in the game. Money's great, but no, I want a piece of this.
Yeah.
And since that day, I can't tell you how many people will be like, oh my God, I bought Slate the other day because I saw it on your story or because I knew you like it, and it's fantastic.
And that's because you guys have created an authentic following, right? It's like
Yes.
people, you're not promoting stuff that you don't actually enjoy, you don't believe in.
Right.
And that's what we
That's
look
right.
for in partners, right?
That's right. You know, it's a very, there's a responsibility, at least from my seat on this couch and my age being 57 years old. If I don't like something, I can say it, and I don't have to feel somewhat that I'm insulting anybody. I just doesn't. So when we do the seltzer reviews, we do the ready to go drinks, we do all the other vodka, anything that's out there. That's why I do thumbs up, thumbs down, and thumbs in the middle. Thumbs in the middle that's not for me, but it may be for you. And if it's down, I'll take my thumbs down, and the higher percentages, it's just not good for anybody's palate. But if it's thumbs up, so you talk about his rating, and that's the part for me when someone has the rating. And I know what it is. Okay, fine, it's just a scale, but everyone's scale is different.
100%.
You either like it or you don't like it. You're either going to buy it the first time because of impulse, because you saw it on the shelf and you want to try it. But we discussed it's the repeat buy. Well, how do you get people? How do we buy it the second or third time and say, okay, this is my go-to now, right? That's
Got to
where the
enjoy
magic
it.
is. Yeah.
You got to enjoy it.
to.
And
Yep.
and I think that if anyone, I don't know about like Coke, Pepsi, like if anyone that's starting a business in their first 5 years thinks that their product is set, you're wrong. You're in the wrong business. Like we were told early on, you have to relentlessly pursue the flavor that you want, and when you get there, make it better. Because that's what brings people back. Like great marketing, great brand strategy and execution, you can drive trial with anything, with enough money and even just like a great strategy. You can find a way to build it to get people to repeat. Is all about a great product.
Yeah.
You got to make people want to come back for more.
But you're right. The core of it is a great product, but you're underselling how much work you've put into. Because if you can have the cure for cancer, it's in a plastic cup in your closet, nobody even knows about it, and you're not going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
You have a great product, but what do you think your added bonuses are that have made you where you are today versus any other person that wants to start
It's the people. It's the employees, and it's not even like the cliche, oh, it's all about the people. It's the employees, it's the partners. It's like whether that's a marketing partner or an influencer partner or just investors, or whether it's like manufacturing partners, like just anyone that's involved in the business. And again, it all comes down to the relationship with them. When you're early on in a business, people want to work with people they like, man.
Correct.
Like that's what it comes.
Yes, sir.
And you got to pay your bills. They have to believe in it because they don't want to waste their time. But man, if they're choosing between you or an a-hole, and all the things on the board show that they should probably choose the a-hole, except for like a couple things, and the last thing is easy to work with, will save us time. Like we so often go above and beyond, or try to go above and beyond for our partners to give them time back so they can justify taking a risk on us.
Absolutely.
And it's key.
That's the alignment with people who have like-minded thoughts and work ethic and disciplines. It's truly, no matter where you are in your life, from the people you hang around with, your friends, or what you think are friends, you need to survey that and make sure that you're positioned correctly within your sphere of influence of your friends, let alone when you try to do something like this.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had a question, and then
I had a question too. I wanted to ask him just 2 questions. I
could just like on that. I was talking to Gavin last night, right?
Yeah.
He's what, the #1 power lifter for his
quick plug for my man Gavin Aiden there.
Yeah,
World champ
I was
powerlifter
talking to him last night,
yeah.
and he like super curious guy. Like
Very
I love when
curious.
people
Very
are
curious.
curious. It's
Asks great questions, that man.
And he was just asking about like partners and stuff. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter if you have 300 million followers or 10,000. Like, if you're the right fit for the brand, if we think that you kind of embody what Slate's all about, like you're authentic and whatnot, and like healthy minded, fitness minded, like your stories, like you're trying to get more caffeine, protein, whatever. And if you are a good person, then, and like it won't take our team too much time to like try to figure out a deal. It's not going to be a 3 weeks of back and forth. Like I think there's a good shot. But again, even if if you have 300 million followers and you're an a-hole to our team,
sure,
it's not, because it's going to go south somewhere.
Right.
If we don't have a good partnership, it doesn't matter if it's one post or we're doing a year-long deal, like it's going to go sour. So it's not worth the time.
That's a great, is the longevity.
Yeah.
Like if you got I forget what book I was reading. I don't read too often, but I read a couple books. And one book talked about like the 49-51 rule when negotiating. Is always give somebody else the 51.
Yeah.
Like if it's error on the side of a couple $100 or whatever it may be, give it to them. And you'll notice that'll pay off in dividends, because they just feel so much better about working with you, promoting your brand. And then when they go out and say, hey, should I go and post this story with Slate? You know what? They treated me right. Or you know what? Manny was a great guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go and do that. So you talked about it. And again, a guy like Gavin, that's exactly what he should be looking for. People that are influencers or brands, you should be looking for the influencers that are just in it for the long run and for the right things.
Yeah.
So where are we? I know we talked about it a little bit.
Yep.
Where are we today, and where do you see yourself going in the next couple of years?
Yeah. So today we're probably going to double our business this year in terms of e-commerce. Just the amount of stores coming online. We brought in some more people to help us with e-commerce, and also just like anyone that's in the beverage or even food game in 2021, 2022, supply chain was an issue for everyone, right? And so we wanted to, we see a lot of businesses that really powered through and grew quickly through that. And I'm great for them. Like I have a lot of respect for that. For us, we wanted to continue to grow, but we didn't want like any hyper growth during that period. We always say you got to have a good business before a big business, right? We had some things we needed to figure out like behind the curtains. And I think that our entire team, they just grinded to get it done, whether it's closing accounts, like our director of ops, Justin, he's a Boston guy from with an accent, and he just grinds, and just like me and him sometimes just working together and some other team members just to grind out problems and just figure it out. And we're still figuring it out. We're still like trying to build a better business. But now I think that the business is at the point where every day that goes by, more and more people hear about us. More and more people are familiar with what we call the Slate tag, which is the logo, which we want people to like feel fitness, like a healthy day. Like we always say, when people see the Slate tag, we want them to think like we talked about Lululemon, or we want them to think Peloton. Like we're a fitness brand before everything else. And so that's why a lot of times through our marketing, we move it a little bit more towards, like even the drinks we were making today.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Like those are, that's a
that was a great recipe you came up with when your research and development lab.
Yeah.
Does that mean merchandise is in the future? Are we going to see some Slate sweatshirts and hoodie and
We'll see.
crew necks? All right,
We'll
stay
see,
tuned, guys.
But I mean, the idea is we're selling strength. That's the way that we think about our brand versus like milk or chocolate milk, right? Like we want to sell the idea or like the feeling of being healthy, being strong, like having that be your healthy day versus like your Sunday high sugar chocolate milk.
So let me ask you, I don't know why this just popped into my head, and then you want to maybe ask that other, you asked him 2 questions.
Yeah, I can go back to that.
So you go back to that. But when I think of chocolate milk, and when you drank chocolate milk, what was the vessel it came in? What did it look
when I was a child?
Yeah, when you were a child, what was it?
I would drink it, like I would get glass, poured in a glass, but like.
But what did it come in? What was the container?
A big.
Was it?
Mine was plastic.
Okay.
Was yours glass?
No, mine was paper cardboard chocolate milk.
Glass. He's not
Shake
80.
it up.
No, I don't know. I don't know if it was like local.
Back when I was,
Well, some people do the local chocolate milk. You say you're 57. You look great. What are you talking about?
I used to make
Look
the
at the
guy
old man.
deliver the milk.
Somebody else called Joel, not me this time.
No.
So my chocolate milk experience was in a cardboard box.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
cardboard.
little cartons.
And carton milk.
Yeah.
Shake it up, carton milk. And that was that in of itself, because the first taste you had was the cardboard.
Yep.
All right. And I just wonder what that is. Now it's a can. If you've thought about any other vessel, any other type of container, whether it be glass, what brought you to that?
So
can?
we wanted to make it shelf stable. That was key because we launched the business into the market 3 months before the pandemic and obviously did not plan for that.
Okay.
So it took us 18 months to launch the thing, right? Because talking about supply chain and getting it going, like the MOQs, the mins for running into shelf stable dairy containers are super high. And so we didn't want to go cold chain, like what we would spend on freight. And whatnot.
Understood.
And also,
That
we are
explains it,
today 100% plastic neutral as a business. So for every pound of plastic we use, we take a pound of plastic out of the ocean. We've done campaigns with Indonesia and Africa. And right now, the only plastic we use in our packaging is our 12-pack case wraps and our pallet wraps, right? And so I think when thinking about starting a business, and we've talked to a few founders that they've had success, but they kind of wish they did it more sustainably. And so for us, for Josh and myself, I think it's important to us to just do the best we can from day one.
Nice job.
Just gets better and better, this guy.
Nice job. Glad I
And also
asked
drink
that
it out of a
question.
can. Like there's just something about it. Like cracking it open, like post lift or like in the morning.
Oh yeah.
It's just satisfying.
I don't put my lips on anybody's can, but I pour it in a glass.
The sound though is nostalgic. I agree.
Yeah.
2 last questions
Yeah.
I want to ask every guest that comes here. Explain to us your most humbling moment of this entire experience where you maybe felt like giving up or, is it even worth doing? And then follow it up with your highest of highs moments, your biggest accomplishment.
I mean, the most humbling was definitely Shark Tank.
Really?
We've talked. Oh yeah. I mean, again, we've been told no a bunch. We were told no in front of everyone that's ever met us.
Right.
and the way that it was cut together, we didn't even defend ourselves that much, which is again fine. But I think after the show, Josh and I looked at each other and we felt like we lost the Super Bowl, and it wasn't even about getting a deal. It's just
like the Eagles.
I know that was not good for the Eagles.
Sorry.
Well, you're not Eagles fans.
No.
That's just
We were saying that too soon, right?
Yeah. Right.
But no, it literally that's how we felt, right? It's like we got the biggest stage, and it was that we felt as though we didn't give our best performance. We did the best we could in the moment, but we felt as though there were probably things we could have done better, and I think that's why it was the most humbling. And it was almost like a reminder of sometimes there are going to be situations where you're going to look back and be like, I should have done things differently, but we always think we can't think like that.
Right. Did you debate giving up?
No.
Never.
Not
one point in this entire journey.
Never.
That's incredible.
Literally not once. We were so sold on the opportunity. Wow. Even before we had a product, Josh and I were both so convinced that this just made sense. You got the white space in the brand. You got a product that's nostalgic that people know, right? It's not like some crazy handpicked from it's healthy chocolate milk. Like people get it all over the country. We had a delivery vehicle in a can that hasn't been done for this type of product, and it's more sustainable. And some stores now and campuses in terms of businesses aren't even allowing plastic. Like they're just, and then you got the market that's exploding, and RTD coffee and RTD protein, we're hitting both. Like it just makes too much sense. So we just need to find a way to execute on it. And we still just need to continue to find a way to execute on it. And like in our heads, where we're going to get to makes sense. It's just, look, like it's not going to be easy, and we still have a lot to do. And I don't believe any company is too big to fail. I don't believe in that. I think you get the wrong people, you make a wrong turn, and you can really F things up. And so we got a long way to go for sure.
Good point.
But I mean, I don't know if you give yourself enough credit, but I think you are the picture perfect founder for a brand like this. I mean, your mindset is very even keel. You don't seem to get overly extremely excited about too many things, and you don't get ever underwhelmed and feel that feeling of, hey, maybe it's time to pack it up, or who am I kidding, right? And that thought resonates with a lot of people sometimes. So they can learn a lot from you and taking this step by step, and that everything that you go through is just part of the process. And you said it before, you have to grow almost like smart and not look for that big hit in the beginning, because you may not be experienced enough to handle it. Yeah. Right. And you're handling things very well. And I commend you for that, man. And we are happy and excited to be a part of this brand.
Investors right here. Well, absolutely. I think also, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way to grow a business. Like this strategy that we're doing is just our strategy. Like some brands that like hit it big day one, like they make it, and it just works for them. And I think it's all about what is your strategy. And it's going to change a little bit, but just executing on that strategy. And if it's not working, changing the strategy. Right. And I think the reason why, and I appreciate the kind words, of course, and love having you guys involved, but the people around us, like obviously it starts with my co-founder Josh, who like balances me. Like sometimes I can be freaking stubborn as a bull, and I know it, and he'll be like, let's take a second and think about what we're doing here. And I think that on the other side of things, Josh sometimes will like try really hard to appease people, and I'll be like, dude, we got to push a little harder. So I think for us, it's like a good push and pull, and I think we're both aware of what we do well and some things that we need to lean on the other person for. But then also, again, it's like it's our team. It really is. And we have area sales managers that are going literally store to store, driving sales. We have people on our marketing team that are working, like, Anna well, and Morgan and the rest of our team. And like Jen, our graphic designer, my older brother runs marketing for us, crushes it. Like our ops guy, Justin, who I was talking about before, just an absolute animal sales guy. Mike, who is just always thinking about strategy. And like, this is the strategy, now let's go execute on the sales side. And it's just getting the right people involved, because we don't have enough time as founders or even as managers to manage people. Like, I'm a terrible manager. Like I always say that I'm not a good manager. Right. Like I'm in the weeds with you. Like I'll go out there with my gloves and fight whenever I have to. But like, we're not good at checking in on people too much, and like we're trying to be better about that. But I think our team just appreciates that we're all just grinding.
How many employees?
Probably like 35 or 40 now.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the second part.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Your highest of your highs. Your biggest. Is there a pinpointed time or something that happened besides working with us, of course?
I mean, right here.
Besides the text that you got that.
Perfect.
I gave you a shout out on my story.
Yeah, no, I did get that notification. I think the first close of our Series A was a good high for us, because look, like we had raised capital. I think that was, I mean, when you get a notification that your bank account just received a wire with the largest sum it's ever received to date, like that's exciting.
It's real.
And it's like, that's like, all right, we got even more people that believe and are putting even more in. I think that was a huge high for us.
Well, I think it simultaneously happens too. Like, I mean, I don't know if this is like chicken or the egg, but I saw Dana White having the can of Slate in his he must be a fan of drinking it or something.
Dana is a huge supporter of the brand. Like he, again, just kind of network, got connected to his people, and ended up hopping on a Zoom with him, and he drinks it every day.
It's awesome.
At least he told us that after he works out. Loves the classic chocolate, and he wants to help brands he believes in win. So like he's just been an awesome supporter.
Excellent. Oh, that's amazing.
For you guys.
So hopefully there's some more tie-ins there. But
Excellent.
Manny, thank you so much for coming. We had a lot of fun. This is the first, I think, this first entrepreneur we've had on the podcast. I had a great time. I learned a lot. Hope you guys learned a lot.
This is great. Well, no, I just think enough has been said, and you touched on a lot of really interesting backdrop insight for people who are listening, and then That's never to be underestimated.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off. Alignment with people is critical.
Yeah.
And you don't quit. You don't give up.
Yeah,
right.
it.
Keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a really great action.
That was really
wait,
good.
Wait, is Rocky in the? Holy shit! Oh my god.
Well, we know Rocky's not here. Who else are we looking for?
Hey, Adrian. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, drink some Slate. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Oh, hang on. Wait. Cheers. Cheers. Look at I got water.